Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to this brand new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You're here with us, your beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Welcome back, Carlo. How are we feeling today?
Feeling good, dude. That was a wild one, but we're back.
You're telling me.
I'm not sure how I feel considering the loss last night. Like, we're going to get into all that, but like health-wise, dude, I feel great. Back in action.
I'm sick currently after that horrible loss last night. 4 unanswered goals, Carlo. Terrible.
Yeah, that was ugly, dude. That was we'll get into it because there's a couple things to identify with that loss, but it's one of those.
With that, like Carlos said, welcome back to joining us on this brand new episode. If you are returning, if you are brand new, thanks for stopping by and joining us on this episode. We got a lot to uncover what happened this entire week. We will be touching back on what happened the previous week as well, just touching on depth scoring, power play, PK, all the fun stuff that comes within the hockey world with the Detroit Red Wings. So with that being said, if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You can also find us on Apple and Spotify as well, and on all the major social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, all those places. Go ahead and find us on there if you aren't following us already. And with that being said, Carlo, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Where do we begin? The Detroit Red Wings started off this week with an unfortunate loss to the Chicago Blackhawks. If you guys didn't catch the last episode, we did a short. I slightly touched on that. I unfortunately went to that game, Carlo. The Detroit Red Wings lost 5-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks, and they only had 20 shots on goals compared to our 46 shots. Just overall a terrible display of effort by the Detroit Red Wings. Dylan Larkin was able to get a goal after Connor Bedard ripped one on the power play. And from there, the team just completely fell apart. Lackadaisical on the block shots, 8 compared to the 16. They out-hit the team. They went 0 for 5 on the power play. This seemed to have unraveled on top of coming back from their West Coast trip, even playing at home against the New York Rangers. We will go in depth more about that as well as we continue along in this episode later on, but touch on this game real quick. Carlo, you've been MIA for a little bit, so let's gather your thoughts real quick on this game and then the games moving forward that happened throughout this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just this game. There's a lot of common things that happened in this game that also happened in some of the others that I've missed, but I still was watching, and their PK, not good.
Nope.
Their power play, absent, completely absent. Yep. Against Chicago, I believe they had, 5 power plays?
Wings had 5 power plays. Chicago had 3. We went 0 for 3.
On the PK, and then we went 0 for 5 on the power play. Like, that's correct. What are we doing here? What happened? This kind of bleeds into even last night, but I think the defense needs some big-time coaching, man. Like, some big-time coaching on when to play smart, when to pinch, when not to. Like, they need to be identified and they need to be addressed. The game against Chicago was I don't want to say lackadaisical because I feel like that's too easy. I really think their execution on literally everything just was not there. And I'm pretty sure this was after I know they had 2 very intense practices, but I can't remember if it was before this game against Chicago. I think it was. And then, obviously a good game against Anaheim. In terms of everything that they needed to identify and address, I would say they did. Their PK looked like it was back to being what we've seen. Their power play was 50%. They were making nice plays. Michael Rasmussen scored a goal that I didn't think he was capable of scoring. Like, all was well. And you could see that they were executing on some of the X's and O's that were probably covered in those crazy intense practices that they had. I don't want to jump too far ahead here. I want to give you an opportunity to speak your mind on that. But, what happened yesterday, I don't know. It was like the best of both games almost. And then that was the product against Buffalo.
Yeah, just to touch on the Chicago Blackhawks a little bit. Connor Bedard, absolute maniac. The kid's on a tear right now. Honestly, it's great to see because it makes the team better for them. The Chicago Blackhawks, he's obviously has a chip on his shoulder compared to last season. A lot of people are giving him comparisons to Macklin Celebrini, so that's why I said Bedard seems to have a chip on his shoulder this season. He put up 3 points. One player I wanted to highlight for the Chicago Blackhawks was Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yep,
Before he scored his goal, he ended up going to the penalty box, and I made mention on it in the short episode that is a player who wears his heart on his sleeve. He showed that when he took that penalty, came back out, they left him wide open in front of the net and was able to score a goal. I believe it was a power play goal. Nonetheless, Either way, point proven that the Detroit Red Wings seamlessly have not been playing with any type of heart. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, 99% of the team has not been playing, you're right, with heart. And that's something I always look for in any team that I'm watching is, who's the dog? And I still, the only dog I think we have is Alex DeBrincat. He's part of that 1%. And honestly, dude, I'll even say Finney. And I'm talking just about the forward group. We know Moritz Seider is a dog. Finney at times, Finney had legs last night against Buffalo.
He did. Yeah.
Not sure if he had that against Chicago, but the player that's been standing out to me the most, even when we're playing like terribly, Alex DeBrincat. He's our best back checker. He's our best forechecker. Like, he's everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere. It just sucks that gravity doesn't like the guy because he's 5'9". Like, if he was over 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", that guy is an absolute legend, phenom, whatever you want to call it. But he's not. But he plays like he is, man. That guy is just all over the ice, and I got to give flowers to him right away because he has hands down been our best offensive player, bar none. Disagree?
I would agree. Yeah. No, I would agree with you on that too, and it's kind of sad because I made the call out to Marco Kasper. I said that he's probably the Tyler Bertuzzi of the team, kind of a dog, grit, can kind of do it all. But I would agree with you. It's probably starts with Alex DeBrincat. Emmett Finney, same thing, all dog. And he's a young guy, right? So he has a lot to prove, and he wants to make sure that he stays on the team. He's already seen one rookie get sent down. ASP probably doing the same thing because he already got a talking to about his lackadaisical plays lately. The Red Wings are really good at making mid, and this is no disrespect to Arvid Söderblom, Elmer's brother. The Red Wings are really good at making mid goalies look phenomenal, like they are Vezina winning trophy goaltenders. 45 saves on 46 shots. A 978 save percentage. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to take away his flowers. I think that Söderblom played one hell of a game, but still the Red Wings should be able to tuck more than one goal in, especially on 46 shots. And I would say that that's something that the Red Wings aren't doing, is that they're not getting the good quality shots that they actually need. I'm sure the stats probably say something different, but based on the eye test, the Red Wings really aren't putting up too many quality high danger shooting scenarios, lack of a better term.
Yeah, high danger chances. They're not. I mean, there's games where we will watch them shoot every single shot on goal into the logo of the other team's goalie. Like, they're just fluff shots. Todd even mentioned it on one of his post-game pressers. There's no quality shots. You're just shooting the puck at net, just shoot it at net. Nobody's there. So it's actually a turnover. Like, nobody's there to get in the dirty areas. I mean, against Anaheim, that was something I don't think we've seen yet this season. And it was hilarious because Alex DeBrincat was the one who was getting into those dirty areas. And as a result, we were scoring goals, right? Same type of shots. But we had players getting to the net at the right time. Shouldn't say players. Alex DeBrincat was getting to the net at the right time, creating a mess. And as a result of that, he was scoring goals. They were being rewarded. Beyond that, dude, yeah, like the shots on net have just been they've lacked so much quality. I'll touch real quick on making these goalies, these whether it's their first year in the league, their first game, whatever, looking good. Yeah, I think that we do that. I mean, this is a little bit of a confirmation bias, and I already know I'm going to get it for this, but I think I put something out too. I think the Wings were like, and this isn't related to the goalie, but the same kind of thought. The Wings were middle of the pack for rookies scoring on the team or scoring on the Wings. Like if it's a rookie kid, whether it's his first game or if it's his first year, or they're trying to get their first point, it does come against Detroit, and they're about 15th. But I think shout out to this person, I found it on Reddit, who was tracking all this, but I think they stopped in 2021 or 2023 or something like that. So there's still some data missing on that, but yeah, it does feel, and it is a bit of a confirmation bias just because of how often we watch our team. I'm sure this happens to a lot of other teams out there as well, but it does certainly suck when you're watching your team as often as we do, and you just hear it from the announcers. It's like, oh, it's his first National Hockey League point, first National Hockey League goal, first National Hockey League shutout. Yeah, that stings because we've heard it. We've heard it a lot, but we've also watched a lot of games. I don't know about you. I think I do, but I mean, I watch every single game. Unless they're at 10 o'clock, I'm not watching that game.
Fair enough.
You watch so many games, and you're gonna pick up on that stuff. You're gonna hear it, but yeah, it's funny though. It's a psychological thing. I think at the end of the day, when you're a pro athlete and you're going up against the likes of Chicago Blackhawks or Buffalo, and it's just treated like I always wonder, like, do you take it easy because it's Chicago or because it's Buffalo? Like psychologically, are you telling yourself like, I don't got to work that hard today because we're playing Buffalo or Chicago? Because I feel like every single team in this league needs to be treated with the exact same amount of respect. It doesn't matter if you're Florida. It doesn't matter if you're Tampa. It doesn't matter if you're Buffalo or if you're Chicago. You need to go into every single game treating every team with the same amount of respect, because that's how you're going to get better as a player and as a team. I don't know if they're doing that.
Yeah, and I think Todd probably had to ask the question again, are you guys going to be able to fix this? And you hear from the players, we can fix this. They clearly can't. I'm not even going to touch on John Gibson for the Blackhawks game because we will touch on goaltending as we continue along this episode. But
yeah,
15 saves on 19 shots is not very good. A 7.89 save percentage. That's absolutely ridiculous. Moving over to the Anaheim Ducks game. A little bit of a different song and dance. The Detroit Red Wings actually won this game 6-3. Patrick Kane reaches 1,350 career points. John Gibson actually had to leave towards the end of this game. Leo Carlson is an absolute animal. That's another young kid that's been tearing up the league on top of Connor Bedard and Macklin celebrating. We've touched on those names, but completely different type of game here where the Detroit Red Wings won 33 shots on net. They went 2 for 4 on the power play, so 50%. More block shots. They had 17 block shots, a lot of giveaways, 20 giveaways this game, but opens up with Moritz Seider scoring on the power play to start it off in the second period. Michael Rasmussen, absolute ripper of a shot that came absolutely out of nowhere. ASP gets a second goal. Alex DeBrincat gets a power play goal. Larkin follows up along after that, and then DeBrincat gets the empty netter in this game. On top of that as well, going back to the John Gibson thing, it looks like that he slightly got pulled by a player. I can't exactly remember which player it was. We kind of freaked out a little bit, hoping that he wasn't going to get injured because Kosa and Postava for Grand Rapids are injured. They have Carter Gylander called up and everything. Good on Cam Talbot. He did let in one goal, but good on Cam Talbot to come in to start the third period and complete the dub for the Detroit Red Wings. I personally wasn't really too satisfied with this game. I thought the Red Wings showcased what they did in the Chicago Blackhawks game, where it's kind of like how you said it. The ability to be unprepared for the teams that you wouldn't expect to come out guns a-blazing. This is a very hot, young team. It's very similar to the Montreal Canadiens. It's very similar to the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Ducks dummied us the last time that we played them on their ice turf.
Yep.
Credit.
That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago. Credit to them, dub's a dub, but still, you have to look at the underlying issues where this team, for whatever reason, only the top 6 forwards are really scoring, and then your best defensemen are scoring. Moritz Seider, he's been killing it. He's been putting up more points. He got 2 points this game, ASP getting that goal, like I mentioned, but he got sat this game. He only put up not even 14 minutes time on ice because of his lackadaisical plays, and he was called out for that.
Yeah, I mean, he was benched, right? He was benched in the third period. He was called out for it. And I love the way the coaching staff handled it. They talked to him the next day from what I heard from Todd's. I think it was after practice, but somebody asked him, so what happened there? And he called it out. And he's like, listen, I think the reporter followed up with like, how do you keep a kid or a player, juiced up? And his answer was great. Just the way they watch the tape, they identify the problem, and then Trent works with him on making sure that he's staying confident, making sure that he's still jacked up and yoked up, ready to go. So I like the way they handle that. This coaching staff's been awesome, dude. And I love that they're putting the onus on the players. I really, really like that they're doing that. For example, with Todd, players might have told you that they can fix this. Well, when are they going to decide to do that? Like, the onus really is on the product on the ice and the players, because they're the ones who are going to make the difference. But yeah, outside of ASP getting benched, he got banged around last night, man. Boy, he was looking very small last night, but I thought he played better. I thought he played a little bit better, and he wasn't making as many of those rookie type mistakes. There were still some, but they were obviously far less than the game where he was benched. But that, that's the other thing I like about this coaching staff, and this isn't just specific to Axe, but they'll bench anybody. They'll sit anybody. They'll bench anybody. If you're not playing to spec, you're not playing. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you continuously see this rotation on the forward end between the 3 forwards, which is Söderblom, JVR, Bergie, and then on the defensive end, it's JBD and Ham Hamonic, unfortunately, who has played more than the 5 games. I said if he does play more than 5 games, then there's a deeper issue with this team. JBD was officially inserted into the lineup for the Anaheim Ducks game. He did play in the Buffalo Sabres game as well. But moving over, let's go ahead and just jump into the Buffalo Sabres game, which is the most recent game. The Red Wings do play tonight against the New York Rangers at 7 p.m. Once again, who beat them at home. So they're going to New York. The New York Rangers are on an absolute tear. But touching on this game, let's just talk about ASP real quick. He played almost 23 minutes last night, and he started out the OT. 3-on-3 with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. And just even talking about that, but like you mentioned, he was ragdolled.
Dude.
What was that message that I sent you, Carlo? That there are not very many players in the NHL that are 6'6" or over that are these super elite talented guys, much how we thought that maybe Elmer Söderblom could potentially become Tage Thompson, because Tage Thompson definitely made me eat my words. And that guy is one of the guys that is 6'6" and over that can just completely dominate the game. And he showcased that. He made us look silly
multiple times. He totally exposed what is wrong with our defense. They are not playing, last night at least, they were not playing smart hockey at all. And what I'm referring to right now is going to be on, talking about Edvinsson. Once again, let's highlight Alex DeBrincat, playing with heart and soul, coming down, back checking. The problem is that when Edvinsson on, I believe it was Tage Thompson's goal, allowed Alex DeBrincat to cover a 6'6" fridge. The guy's a unit.
I tweeted about that. I was like, how are you about to tell your 5'8", 5'9" forward to defend someone who has 10 inches on him like that? That made absolutely no sense.
What are we doing? And honestly, dude, if you watch the goal back, Ed could have absolutely went and gapped him. 100% he could have gapped him, and Alex DeBrincat could have got the other guy because Alex was skating and he was back checking and he was going to get there. And I mean, Tage was way out in front of that other guy anyway, so I don't even know if there could have been a pass made. But either way, I mean, I know I'm not the only one talking about this one, but that was just dumb. That was dumb. That needs to be something that needs to be a common sense decision to be like, I'm going after this guy. There shouldn't be even a thought of like, maybe I shouldn't go after this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're Simon Edvinsson. You're the fridge going up against another fridge. That's what needs to happen here. Yeah, that one bugged me. And then, even I think it was Alex Tuck, that goal there. That's another one that was very weird. It was a weird in the net, kind of a dirty area. Mo Seider, he gets the puck. And it really looked like he was trying to skate it out and maybe create an outlet pass so that the other team, or so that Detroit was going back in an odd man rush potentially. But again, like, that's not the move there. Like, there's a scramble at the net. Just get the puck in the corner. Let everybody regroup positionally. But, he took it and he tried to round out and make a pass. And that's not the move. Like, that's not the move. And, we score a goal, we give a goal. How many times have we seen that so far in the last week? Where literally multiple times in a game, but last night it was Patrick Kane scores a really nice goal. Shout out to Benny with that unreal pass, and then I don't even know how many seconds it was later. Alex Tuck gets another. They give it right back. Like, that stuff's crazy to me, dude.
30 seconds later.
Yeah, like that stuff bugs me, man. That stuff bugs me. The other one that bugged me was I guess it would have been Buffalo's third goal. I think it was the third goal. Yeah. Mo Seider pinched. Now, mind you, we're up 4-2. Why are you pinching so hard? Like, why are you pinching that hard? I don't know, man. I know, like, pinching is part of the game defensively. I get it. But, like, when Tage Thompson's on the ice, when they're top units on the ice, don't pinch. You're going to get burned. And I know you have to rely on your teammates. And in this case, it's Alex DeBrincat. But, like, try to realize who the person you're relying on and their physical capabilities. You're going to put Alex DeBrincat up against Tage Thompson? Are you serious? Credit to Alex DeBrincat for playing with the heart he's been playing with, because he did not back down. He absolutely did not back down, and he went and he did his job. But he should not have been put in that position. That's my thought. That's my between the ears thought that Todd's referencing time and time again with this club.
My biggest issue with this game is that the Red Wings actually shut down the Buffalo Sabres, going 0-for-4 on their power play.
Yeah. PK looked really good.
It did. And then our power play looked absolutely horrendous. Once again, you went 1 for 5, so 20%. That's somewhat decent. Okay, fine. But then on one of your power plays, you ended up allowing a goal against you, a shorthanded goal. And that turned it into a tie game because of that.
becoming
you could
a
have
common
scooped away
theme.
with an easy 2 points. You were up 4-1 going into the third period. Well, actually, Josh Doan scored towards the end of the second period, but nonetheless, either way. But talking about the stats real quick, even more on top of that, shots were pretty even.
Yep.
Everything was pretty even up until then. The Buffalo Sabres actually gave the puck away more than we did, but they also had more takeaways. We just completely fell apart in that whole entire third period. Yeah. And all the goals, except for that one shorthanded goal, came 5-on-5. This team just completely diminished themselves. I don't know what happened in that locker room. And honestly, I hate to do this, but I kind of want to pick apart John Gibson. 22 saves on 27 shots. 4 came at even strength, an .815 save percentage, Carlo.
John Gibson scares me in net.
Before we started recording, I said his 5-hole is wider than the train hole that your train will go into, essentially, when you're traveling. The nicer way. I had a more rough term for it, but we'll be nice on this episode. But I think you guys can pick up what I'm putting down on that. I think the Red Wings have a John Gibson issue. Personally, to me.
Don't disagree whatsoever. His rebound control is terrible. I don't even think it exists. You know, let's pause for a second, though, and let's go back to Cam Talbot coming in with a cold start. Third period, faces the most shots that they even gave up in any of those 3 periods, and he looked awesome. I think that was a bad call to start Gibson. If you recall, Gibson has had, 3 or 4 pucks to the mask these last couple games? The guy's been getting his bell rung. Mm-hmm. I would have went into Talbot. Personally, that's me. Hindsight's 20/20. I get it. I would have went Talbot to start that game and give Gibby give him a day. I mean, he's got how many pucks to the head, dude? Like, come on. What are we doing?
Well, I wonder if the coaching staff now is at the point where, because obviously we play against the New York Rangers tonight. Yeah. Would you say, just real quick, yes or no, do you believe the New York Rangers are a better team than the Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah, I do.
Then obviously that showcases that the coaching staff prefers Cam Talbot to play against the harder team.
That's a great point. You're absolutely right. In that case, now that I realize that, because I totally forgot they're playing tonight, that's the right move. Put Talbot in against the Rangers. I will say that.
And which is so ridiculous too, because Cam Talbot, what is he? He's 38 or 39 years old. I believe it's more 38, but he's on a contract year. We don't really know if he's going to continue playing. Assumingly he does, because he still looks really good out there, but he's on a contract year. I don't foresee him being a Detroit Red Wing moving forward from here after this season. If the Detroit Red Wings continue on the pace that they are, I can see us actually moving on from Cam Talbot. Sebastian Cossa and Postava look phenomenal. Granted, they're injured right now, but eventually, like I made the call out on the last short episode, we got to start bringing up some of these young kids.
Goalies. And we're bringing up kids. The kids are here. If you're talking about goalies specifically, I agree with you, but we better do it in the way that we're getting a good, like Talbot's a very valuable trade candidate. At this point in time. So
it's probably the highest one we have on the team currently.
100%. And you know, with other teams that need goalies, and there are a few, this could be a good thing for Detroit, granted that Postava and Cossa, you know, aren't that seriously injured, and they can continue to play at the level they were playing at when they do return. But if we're going to part with Cam Talbot, yeah, it's got to be via trade. And it breaks my heart to say that because I love Cam Talbot, man. He is a specimen. He is a freak athlete. You know, seeing him even out of his equipment, that guy's yoked. He is a hell of an athlete, and you're seeing it game in, game out when he plays or relieves. He looks unreal. Like age, I'm shocked at his age. Like it's that should not be the case. And he's just defying, you know, age and level of play for me anyways. But it would break my heart to part with Cam Talbot because of what he's done for this team and the wins and the saves that he's been able to accomplish to give us those points. But if we're going to part with him, like I said, better be via trade and it better be for a good return.
Yeah, absolutely. And we made a tweet on our podcast account on Twitter, and I don't know who responded to it, but someone said it's still a little too early to be making judgments on this team overall, the goaltending, some players, all that. I mean, granted, we saw
maybe at the time, like now.
We saw MBN get sent down after 9 games. They're already qualifying who's a good fit for this team, who needs more time, who doesn't. Yeah. We're already at 18 games. Tonight will be game 19. Do we have enough sample size to declare what this team is currently, or do we still need a couple more games to officially make a statement whether this team is good enough or not to make the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Well, I think we're getting close to 25% of the season being done. I think you have a sample size.
More than enough. I think even with just these 18 games, we have enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they say, what is it, like by American Thanksgiving, you should have a good understanding of how the rest of the season is going to go out or play out, and based off of their play up until this point. The thing is that our play has been a complete mixed bag. We look like the best team in the league, and then we look like the worst team in the league, and then we just look like we've been a little bit of everything, and it's so hard to read. Really, it's hard to judge and it's hard to read. They have shown that they can do everything, play great and play like shit.
And they did that all in one game, which was the last night's game against Buffalo, because after you went up 4-1, that team was making plays on their power play like you would expect them to be. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and you have Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar all in one on that power play.
Some of the execution that they had was unbelievable. Raymond was just, dude, he was making some unbelievable plays. He looks really good. I'm going to get into something in a minute about Raymond. But yeah, I don't know what to say about in terms of the sample size that we do have. I don't know how to judge it. Like, I don't know what to say other than understanding that we've seen the really highs, we've seen the really lows. It's like, okay, I guess we're somewhere in the middle. It's not good enough. Being in the middle is not good enough in this league, especially in this division.
And speaking about this division too, I'm glad that you actually brought that up. Carlo, would you be surprised if I told you that there are only 2 teams in the Atlantic Division right now with a plus goal differential?
Would I be surprised? I would be surprised knowing the teams that are in this division. Yeah, but I know it's been a weird season.
And the 2 of them are the Boston Bruins, who currently lead the Atlantic Division. They have a +2, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are actually below us in the standings. They're 5th, right behind us. 1 less game played. They're +3. Everyone else is negative. The Buffalo Sabres, after last night's game, they're -13.
Jeez.
You got dummied by the worst team in the Atlantic Division.
We're letting a team score 4 unanswered goals. That's oh my God. What does that tell you, right? What does that tell you about the Red Wings last night? It doesn't tell you anything good. It doesn't tell you much anything good. But that does surprise me. Boston surprised me. Tampa doesn't really surprise me. Defensively, they should be a positive team, especially that Derek Lalonde is no longer there. Thank you, because Derek Lalonde is now in Toronto. Just a quick little sidebar. Toronto's on a 5-game losing streak. I don't know what's going on in the city of Toronto. Shout out my boy Shoddy, diehard Leafs fan. Buddy, call your boys, because they need some help. But Derek Lalonde is he's running their PK, so I'm just going to circle that a little bit. Bingo.
Yeah, and we're seeing those call-outs online after his brief little stint with Detroit, and then he went to who was the team that he went to right after that?
Who, Derek Lalonde?
Yeah,
He went to Tampa.
That's right. So then he went to Tampa. They were getting knocked out of the first round of the playoffs for those 2 seasons that he was there.
They were not. They did not look good. Yeah, they did not.
Now he goes over to Toronto. They're -5 in their goal differential. They're 8-9-2 is their current record. And now they're all out with Austin Matthews. And let's touch on that too, because speaking about injuries, this is where the Red Wings are actually getting very lucky. The Red Wings haven't really been hit with the injury bug, so to say. Obviously, you missed out on Patrick Kane for a little bit, and you were able to sustain some of the winning on top of that. But the Montreal Canadiens, they're out with Gooley and Newhook for quite some time. And then we just heard that Jack Hughes, that whole knife situation, I really don't know exactly what happened there, but it's so funny because people were saying like he got cut with something. And then I saw these posts saying like, okay, we got to give him the kitty carving tools for Thanksgiving so that way he doesn't cut himself and all that stuff.
Yeah, he needs a plastic knife for his steaks moving forward.
But nonetheless, I will say that the Detroit Red Wings, they need to start taking advantage of those opportunities. The Montreal Canadiens haven't looked that good. They're obviously falling down. I think they've been outscored, what was it, like 12-2? Their previous 2 games. I'm not sure if they played last night or if they played today, if that's really changed, but that's what it looked like. The Red Wings have to start taking advantage of these opportunities. And I will continuously make this call out, Carlo, that before it's too late, and I do agree with you that by American Thanksgiving, which is less than 2 weeks from now, I believe, we should see a change coming within this team. Whether if that's bringing up more young players, because I made the call out last episode that no one's probably going to want any of these players. I understand that we keep on hearing that there's a lot of these scouts, a lot of these teams going to the AHL games. I don't think they're really there for Gus or Hall or really any of the other veterans that we used to have on the Detroit Red Wings. I think the Red Wings are in a position to where they need to make an upgrade and solidify their opportunity to make a push for the playoffs, much like how Lucas Raymond said after that win against the Anaheim Ducks. That was his statement that they're going to try and do that, and they should. This team, though, for whatever reason, they can't have... How do I want to say this? This team is not built really to stay consistent. And we've seen that. Granted, at the start of the season, you
Good way
lost
to
one
put
game
it.
and then you went on that 5-game heater, whatever it was, right? But then other than that, now it's been wishy-washy. It's been flip-flopping, and it's a lot of people are getting flashbacks to when Derek Lalonde was the head coach.
Yeah, I know that's the weird part, and that's the part I struggle with. Is you're not wrong, but I know, and I think all of us know that Todd McClellan is a way better coach. We've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fortunate enough to see it in all the post game and post practice pressers. Like, he's got no problem calling people out, and I love how direct and thorough he is. There's no fluff with him, and I'm sure it's the same way with the guys. But then you ask the question: it's like, okay, if you have this smart of a coach and this, let's call it a firm and fair coach, because that's really what he is. Why is this continuing to happen? And then you look at the player personnel and you look at the games where they are consistently winning 5 in a row. Are those flukes? Like, does that mean those are flukes and that this wishy-washy is the product that's the Detroit Red Wings this year? Because I don't know how to read this sample size that we've seen. It's so hard, man. But to me, it looks like these games where they go on and rip off a heater, it appears to me that those are flukes.
Well, let's talk about that too, because the Detroit Red Wings right now, as it stands, their power play is 21%. They're 14th in the league. And then on their PK, they're actually doing a lot better than I actually thought they were. They're 9th in the league with
their PK is great.
82.7%. But then overall, to your point, I don't know if I would call it luck. I think it's the top 6 is covering a lot of the deficiencies that this team has, because the bottom 6 scoring in the last 2 weeks alone, just in the month of November, we've had 2 goals from our bottom 6. This isn't including defense. This is just top 6 forwards, right? Or bottom 6 forwards. Comfer and Rasmussen, the only 2 goal scorers in the last 2 weeks for the bottom 6. Then you look at the top 6 scoring, 7 goals in the last 2 weeks. 14 goals total in the last 2 weeks in 6 games. That's averaging just over 2 goals a game. You're not going to win very many hockey games in a high-scoring league that the NHL is today.
Yeah. You're not. You're absolutely not. And I mean, I think I put out that post. Was it they had 2 goals on 102 shots? I can't remember what day it was, but like, it was ugly. Like, it was ugly, just not scoring any goals. And that's the other problem. And you bring up a good point. Your top 6, they're going to run dry, like every other top 6 will. When does the secondary scoring come in to relieve them a little bit? Like, those are the flukes that I'd like to start seeing. I'd like to start seeing the secondary scoring alleviate the top 6 guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fluke, yeah. But like, us seeing it once in a blue moon, you're not a winning hockey team. Like, this bottom 6 is just it's very bad. There's no offense. There's no offense. It's motions, it's execution, it's checking, and that's it. And that's literally it. It's a big problem, and I don't know if it's fixable, dude. I really don't know if that's fixable. I feel like we would have seen signs of it being fixed by now. 2 goals is not enough. That's not a sign. And there's a huge glaring problem in Detroit's lineup with their bottom 6 that like they need to fix. If they want to take the next step, that's where you need to look, because you need to score goals.
What are your thoughts on, real quick, what are your thoughts on JT Compher being pushed up to the 2C, Marco Kasper obviously being dumped? You insert someone like Nate Danielson to be the 3C, who I think has actually looked really good. He's had his opportunities.
Yeah, dude.
He's only played in 2 NHL games. Tonight
he
will
looks
probably
awesome.
be his 3rd.
He looks awesome. I would like to see Danielson up tonight. I would like to see him on the second line as soon as today.
I would agree, especially since Emmett Finney now has been demoted, if that's the word you want to use. I'll just use it for now. Demoted to the second line. Alex DeBrincat being bumped up. I actually think that's the right call. That top line works. It worked for us last year. Why would you change that? I get Emmett Finney. He's all gas, all motor. He can back check. Emmett Finney basically is a taller version of Alex DeBrincat. Hopefully that's what he becomes. Maybe not as much of a goal scorer in that regard, but he's a guy who plays very similar to Alex DeBrincat. You made that call out earlier this episode that they're all gas. They can back check. They can do it all. Now let's talk about some of these other players. Like, we've seen Michael Rasmussen get set, JVR, Söderblom, and then Berkey, the continuously rotated 12th forward on this team. You should have a good grasp on who should be that 12th forward. We put out a poll. I believe majority voted on Berkey being that guy. He's projected to put up the most points, but I get it. Bottom 6, it's not always about goal scoring. But you do have to produce something when you're there. Who would you like to be that 12th forward? Or is there no one that you would want to be that guy that continuously plays in that 12th spot?
What's funny is just because we're in the swing of fantasy hockey, and I think you're going to get your first win, actually, of the season this week.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Hey, I'm just glad to see you change your name from Owen to Zach. That's good. This is the funny thing, and I relate those three guys, and I relate JBD and Hamonic to the way at least I run my fantasy team. But there's always a few guys on your team that are your waiver wire guys that you have no problem dropping to go and make a claim for another guy. That's what these guys are. It's just you're not going to do that in the NHL. It's called fantasy for a reason. But those three guys are the ones that are, I mean, we got some really, really good stat cards from bench rates that we're going to try to incorporate right into the video. If not, you'll see some shorts on it. But Berggren's our worst defensive, like by a lot. I don't know how he can be the guy. Like he needs skill. He needs skilled teammates to be effective. So my pick is Söderblom. I think Söderblom should be the mainstay in the lineup on that fourth line. He's massive. He's got the best numbers out of all three, JVR, Berggren, and of course Soda. He's got the best numbers, and he's huge. Go let him run into bodies on the fourth line, and he's got the hands to do it as well. Like he might be able to produce and give you that fluky type of goal that we desperately need out of our bottom six. But if you're asking me who my pick is, it's Elmer. 100%.
I would agree with you because even someone who doesn't have a full spot on this roster, so to say, because he is in that rotational spot, he's sixth on the team in hits alone. I know that's probably what most fans want to hear because he's a big body. He's the one who's going out there. By the way, Marco Kasper, number one on the team with 44 hits. Not a big deal. Emmett Finney's still up there. He's number 4. Moritz Seider, Ben Sherrod, all these guys. MBN, still 5th on the team with 28 hits. That's just absolutely ridiculous. We haven't seen him in 9 games. But on top of what you just said, yeah, thank you, Bench Rates, for providing us the information on all of these guys because we wanted to see what the stats looked like behind them. 5-on-5 stats per 60, JVR and Söderblom are better on expected goals for and expected goals against. Expected goals for percentage, 52% for JVR, 52% for Söderblom, 34% for Jonatan Berggren. Overall, Berggren is the worst team forward by expected goals for by that percentage. And then second worst for Corsi 4 at 49%. And then the issue is converting it all into goals. Berggren does have a better goal for and goal for percentage, but he still has the worst goals against among the three. And that's mainly thanks to his teammates. And then they also mentioned that they don't believe that the task is scoring, but there are some notable stats among individual offense. To that point, they all scored fewer 5-on-5 goals than expected. And hopefully it'll change sooner or later. But overall, they have very similar stats, similar number of shots and expected goals. Berggren converts shots into shots on goals better, while JVR and Söderblom have better shooting percentage. If Berggren improves his shooting percentage, he'll score more. But are you really going to get that when you continuously play on the fourth line as that 12th forward, Carlo?
Well, that's the thing, right?
But can we expect JVR and Söderblom to find a way to deliver more shots that are closer to the net and fewer block shots and missed shots?
They got to play. And that's the problem, is they're not playing.
And that's why I kind of feel bad that these younger players, and, you know, I hate to say it like this, but JVR, I'm sorry, but you're just not a young guy. You're not going to get any better. You're actually technically on the decline. So between the two, you have to make a choice between Soda and Bergie. It's totally unfair to them. I do believe that if you gave Bergie more of a chance, if you could bump him up even to the third line, I think we could see a little bit more out of him. I think what it comes down to is if you give someone the responsibility, then they will do what they need to do to showcase to you that they belong there. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to give that to either Bergie or Soda.
I have an idea.
Let's hear
it. I just quickly made a lineup in my brain, and then I just wrote it down. If Berggren stays on this team, back to what I said earlier, he needs to play with some skill. He's not good defensively, so you got to pair him with a really good defensively sound center. We know this. I would put Berggren, third line left wing, Andrew Kopp as his centerman, and Patrick Kane as his right winger. And there's the skill that Berggren has in Patrick Kane to potentially produce. Now, it's a really risky move because you're putting a lot on Andrew Kopp because Patrick Kane's probably our second worst defensive player. So there's a lot banking on Andrew Kopp in terms of back checking. But I just quickly wonder what that's like, you know, and what I did was I also put on the top line, I have Finney, Larkin, DeBrincat, just to round this out. Finney, Larkin, DeBrincat, Kasper, Danielson, Raymond, because I really think Raymond can drive a line from the wing. I think he can. The way he's entering the zone, the way he keeps that puck on his stick like it's a magnet, and the way he's able to get around guys, be deceptive, make plays, just like he did last night, I think he can absolutely run and manage his own line from the wing. maybe it's a little premature, but I think it's worth a shot to really try to have a 1A, 1B line. I wouldn't classify it as line 1, line 2. I would literally classify it as a 1A, 1B. So anyways, let's catch up. Finney, Larkin, DeBrincat, Casper, Danielson, Raymond, Berggren, Kopp, Kane, Rass, Comfer, Appleton as your fourth line. Defense is the way it is now with JBD in the lineup. I would really like to see something like that. I'm not saying we need to see it for a long period of time, but I'd like to see, a period of that type of lineup. I pushed Patrick Kane down for a reason. Like, yes, he's still going to be on the power play 100%, but 5-on-5, he's hard to watch. Patrick Kane's hard to watch 5-on-5.
Yeah, 100%. And I would agree with you. And I made a tweet last night too. I was like, just humor me, Tom McClellan, for a shift or two of Finney, Danielson, and Casper.
Yeah.
You put Casper in the center. You put Nate Danielson on the right wing because he shoots right.
That's an all-gas line, man. That's an
what I'm
all-gas
saying.
line.
Yes. And I think that eventually, I made the call out last episode too, that I do think that the direction that this team, and I think maybe Tom McClellan and even Steve Yzerman thought about this, if, pardon my French, shit hit the fan. If this team started going down the rabbit hole and they obviously are out of the race to make the playoffs, bring up more of the young kids, start giving more opportunities to these young kids and giving them the responsibility to learn and showcase that they belong in the NHL. Because eventually you have to allow these kids to play. I would like to see Amadeus Lombardi get a call up. I want to see MBN back up, going back to the goaltenders as well. And I'm with you on the whole Patrick Kane thing. And your highlight on Lucas Raymond, because of that, I would be okay if this team did not bring Patrick Kane back next season. Unless he was all right with playing on the bottom six, and then you just give him the power play time. Because he's not the player that he was when he joined us 2 years ago, obviously. He doesn't have the speed, and that goes away very quickly.
No, he's not. But I mean, he always starts very slow. He actually, last night, he played probably one of the better games. I think I commented on you. I'm like, I'll take a 5-on-5 Patrick Kane goal any day of the week. But
25th career goal, by the way. So
shout out to
PK.
Yeah, absolutely. Big claps for him. But he starts slow and then he kind of hits his stride. So, we're still kind of, maybe he hit it last night because he had a pretty good night. We'll see. We'll see how things go as we get into tonight. I mean, the Detroit Red Wings are playing 9 games in 15 days, and that started last night. So there's a lot of hockey about to go down. And if there's any time for a patented Todd Father 7-game heater, it's now. And if there's any time for a Patrick Kane hitting his stride and producing consistently, it's right now. But seeing is believing, as y'all know. That's how we do it over here. But yeah, I don't know. I just tossed together that lineup because I just wanted to back up my original point on Berggren. He needs skill, man. He needs players that are skillful to produce, and he needs to shoot more. He has the lowest shooting percentage out of all those guys, JVR, Soda, Berggren, the lowest shooting percentage. Shoot the puck, Yanni Burgers. Shoot the puck, you'll probably score based off all the other numbers. If you're not hitting a person in the shin, the ankle, or shooting it wide, of course. Accuracy needs to be better. You're an NHLer, and your shooting percentage needs to be higher. But shooting percentage comes with being in the position to shoot the puck, and that's what I'm saying. He needs some skill to play with. He does. So that's why I kind of tweaked that lineup. I don't know if it's crazy or not. You tell me. It might be, but it's something to get him going, and it's also something to get Patrick Kane to not be over-indexed every single shift. That was kind of my reasoning behind it.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, even the one line that I suggested too, you don't have to do this for the rest of the season moving forward.
Boy.
Do it for a shift or two, only because we want to be able to see, speaking for Carlo and myself, we want to see the team as a whole do good instead of this up and down roller coaster where most of the time the top 6 is carrying this team. Some nights they take off and then you don't see anything from the rest of the team. It's very evident, especially against the Vegas Golden Knights. They did it against the New York Rangers. And then even with the Chicago Blackhawks, we're not really seeing this team up and down in the lineup being able to produce really anything. Like I mentioned, Compher and Rass, 2 goals in the last 2 weeks from our bottom 6. Top 6, 7 goals in the last 2 weeks. 14 goals total in the last 2 weeks of the last 6 games of the month of November. I will say the one thing that I'm very happy about is that based on just looking at the foreseeable future of this schedule that the Detroit Red Wings have, I think the hardest part has already been pushed out of the way, where they went on that West Coast trip. You'll probably have somewhat of a similar one. Obviously, you'll have the Central Time, you'll have the Mountain Time. We typically get those when it's later on in the season, and that seems to be an issue for us, especially when you get closer to the end of the season, the trade deadline. So part of me still wants to believe that this team can turn it around. And like you mentioned, 9 games in the next 15 days for the rest of this month. Most of those are at home. This is where this team needs to start taking advantage of those types of scenarios and those opportunities to continue fighting for a wild card spot or even a top 3 spot within your division. And it's very doable. You're not that far behind. And I know that it may sound like that I don't want to say freaking out or that we're hyper fixating on the bads of this team, but that's all part of it. We kind of have to. We're going to talk about the ups and downs, but yeah, you're only 3 points behind on Boston. They got 24 points. We have 21. They actually have 2 more games in hand than we do. They've played 20 games already. So there's still an opportunity for us to actually surpass them. If we win these next 2 games, we could be at the top of the Atlantic Division once again. But the glaring issues with this team are certainly there. Would you say it's more, is it a team issue, Carlo? Is it defense? Is it goaltending? What do you think is the main issue overall with this team?
I think they're learning how to play the way Todd wants them to play still. I don't think they've learned yet. And I think that's actually a really promising thing because there's going to come a time where it's going to click. And I think we're still waiting for that time. You know, we've seen a little bit of everything, like I mentioned, and I said it's hard to read. You know, we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, we've seen everything in between. I think they're still learning the way Todd wants them to play, and that's okay. It just needs to start clicking consistently. You know, if it clicks for a game, you know, cool. And Todd's said this, like, you're going to go through practice, you're going to learn, and then you're going to be hit with a test. Right. And then sometimes you're going to be hit with 2 tests back to back because you're playing back to back games like they are today with the Rangers and last night with Buffalo. Can you consistently keep the goods? That's the question. And the answer right now is no. I think they're still learning. We need to see it start clicking because I think when it does click, this team's going to be dangerous because they've shown they can be dangerous, but it just needs to set. It needs to set because it's not set yet. You got a lot of wet concrete and it needs to set. It needs to harden up.
And I agree with you too, because you look at this team, almost a third of this team is players that have played less than 3 seasons in the NHL. So there's still that learning curve that a lot of these players have to make, right? So that's speaking on the Emmett Finneys, that's speaking on the Sodas, if you want to include him technically, the Albert Johanssons, the ASPs, players like those, Marco Kasper as well. So there's still that learning curve for sure. And I would agree with you that this team, especially the younger players, that they are still learning the system of what Tom McClellan, Trent Yanni, and all the other coaching staff wants this team to do. Unfortunately, hopefully it comes more in bunches, these wins. Unfortunately, that hasn't really been the case as of late. And I think part of that is going back to what I said, is that almost a third of this team just doesn't have the NHL experience. And we also have Emmett Finney, ASP. They probably haven't played this many hockey games in such a short span. ASP coming from Sweden, only got a slight stint with GR. Emmett Finney coming from the OHL, who probably played 2 games a week, if that, some weeks. So there's a lot of adjusting that this team has to do. And I'm very thankful that it's actually Tom McClellan. He did that with the Edmonton Oilers. He did that with the LA Kings, some of these other teams that he came from. So I'm not exactly worried, but I still want to go back to what I said. I think by Thanksgiving, if this team is slightly out of a playoff spot, I would love to see them make a trade somewhere, not just for the sake of a trade, but I think we need players that rough and rugged guy. We need someone like Jamie Oleksiak. Not saying that's the guy that you should go out and trade for, but we need someone like him. Basically another OT Benny Sherratt. To me, personally, especially on the back end, that or on the forward end. These forwards, softer than 10-ply toilet paper, Carlo. Except for Lucas Raymond, who I believe he's actually in a scumbag era right now. The way he was chirping Tage Thompson last night, I love that. That changed that man.
I think he's just a little more confident in his English because he's chirping and he's playing well too. Lucas Raymond is turning into something very, very special. We say this every year, but he just elevates his game every year, and it's so exciting to watch and talk about because he's truly getting better and better and better. But I don't believe it or not, dude. I think that our defense, the way it is right now, is actually not bad. Mo is playing out of his mind. Edvinsson needs to stay out of the penalty box.
Yeah.
He's in the box so much they're going to install cable in that penalty box for the guy, literally. But they're not playing bad. I just think they need some more size up front. So when you're in the position of covering for a pinching D, because that's going to continue to happen, you need to have some size, and that guy who's got the size also needs to be playing with the same heart and motor that DeBrincat is. We can't keep relying on ADB to be the guy who's bailing out a 6'5" Seider or Edvinsson. We just can't. It's not physically possible. He might get lucky a few times, but again, we got to get out of this banking on a fluke and start banking on our talent and our size, and that's what we need. I'm okay with the defensive group right now. I know that might sound nuts. It kind of does. Didn't think I would be saying that. I think it's our bottom six that needs to be addressed with new updated personnel. That's truly what I think. And maybe the answer's there already. Like I said, I moved Patrick Kane down to the third line to give Berggren some more juice. And then that obviously brings Appleton down to the fourth line, which I love the way Appleton plays. Maybe the answer's already here and it just hasn't been, unfolded yet. It hasn't been tweaked the way it is, but maybe the answer's not here. And to your point, maybe they do need to go out and get, a personnel that checks the boxes of size and heart. And I'm kind of leaning towards that because we desperately need to see that on a consistent basis. We cannot have Alex DeBrincat being the only guy showing up on the forward group when it comes to back checking and being effective. Last night he wasn't. I mean, he got outsized, but for the most part, that he can be pretty effective. But we can't rely on that. Can't.
Yeah, and I think that should be a pretty good message to the coaching staff because not to pick on Alex DeBrincat, he was the one who got tossed into the boards that led to that overtime game-winning goal for the Buffalo Sabres. There was a couple times ASP even got tossed around. Granted, he's a 20-year-old kid, probably weighs like 175 pounds wet. Maybe he's a little bit more. Emmett Finney, not exactly the biggest guy. He's over 6 feet tall, but not exactly the heaviest guy either. And that's the top six right now is that there's no size at all. We've seen Appleton up there. He's not exactly the biggest guy either.
Plays with heart, though.
He does play with heart, and I'm very surprised by what he has contributed to this team so far this season. I think that it was a great signing that Steve Yzerman made with him, probably one of his better signings, I would say, in his tenure as the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. But to your point then, if the answer's maybe already here, then maybe we just need to sit one of Kopp or Comfer, bring in Söderblom, and then allow Bergie to also play a little bit more just to see what it looks like.
We don't have the center depth to sit Kopp or Comfer, unfortunately. Rasmussen at center, we already know what that looks like. It's not good. We can't sit those guys, man, because we don't have the center depth. Like, we have Danielson, yeah, but, like, Danielson would probably be playing with a Kasper or a Kopp or a Comfer just because he's got to get acclimated, right? Once he's, like, free-birding it, then, yeah, sure, maybe you could start to do that. But right now, we cannot sit one of those guys because we just don't have the depth. I wish we did. And if we did, I'm sure that would have happened already, but we can't. Like, I don't know how else this lineup lines up.
Kind of wrapping it up here. One of my final questions to leave for you. Maybe you have one more final question. The overarching of this team. I've said it a few times. If this team continues going down the rabbit hole that it's going, where they're trying to scrape away getting 2 points, they scaved away with one. I think they got very fortunate with one. They should have walked away with two, but they got one. If for whatever reason, this team getting closer to the trade deadline, that they're just outside of a wild card position, do you open the floodgates to allow a lot of the young players that are still with the Grand Rapids Griffins to make that jump to the NHL? Your thoughts on that?
If we're like in the wild card hunt?
In the hunt, we're out of it by 2 points.
With how many games remaining?
By trade deadline, I think there would be probably like 20-something games left.
Oh, dude, no, I'm going for it.
So you would make an upgrade to the current roster?
I would try to, yeah. But then again, like the roster that is what it is also got us to being in the position of being 2 points out with 12 games remaining. Or 20
games. Well, the only reason why I asked that, you made a good point there, because that's a similar position we have been in the last 3 seasons. And
well, 2 years ago stands out to me the most. 2 years ago stands out to me the most when we missed by a point, and it came from that. So I don't want to say it, dude, but because last night reminded me of it. But that San Jose game where we were winning by 4 or 5 goals, they came back to tie it up, took us to overtime, beat us in overtime. That extra point costed us a playoff position 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope last night wasn't that for us, this team this year. Jeez, I can't believe I just thought of that, dude. I'm like, man, that's a bad thought.
But going back to that, what I said earlier, I'm very thankful that the West Coast trip and even a loss like this happened early on in the season versus later on in the season, because these are things hopefully that Tom McClellan and the coaching staff can fix within this team. So I would agree with you that if we are very close in a wild card position come trade deadline day, I would stand pat or make a minimal effort to upgrade this team somewhere. If you have to give up a 3rd round pick for it, do it.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
have
dude.
to move on from some type of prospect player,
100%.
maybe not on Grand Rapids, do it.
100%. You have to. I think that if there's anything that the executive team learned is like, if you have an opportunity to go for it, go for it. We just don't know if they had the opportunity to do it in the past. You want to take Steve Yzerman and what he said at face value, and he's even said, like, there's 32 other teams trying to get better as well. We never had the opportunity. Okay, you're the boss. I mean, I guess I'll take that for what it's worth, but there needs to be an opportunity in order to do this. And I hope that it's being explored. I hope it's being investigated now so that we're ready to go. And don't be surprised if you see a move well before trade deadline. That is our trade deadline move. You know what I mean? Like that's a very Steve Yzerman thing to do. So, I mean, don't be surprised if you see that, but there something needs to be addressed with this team's bottom 6. I think everybody and their dog and cat knows that. So it's just a matter of the opportunity presenting itself and us being a fit for that opportunity. I do think there are some good prospects. Lord knows we have the picks. Is that enough to get something done to the other 32 teams trying to also get better as well? We don't know. That's the problem we have. Who are we trading? It goes back to the conversations we've had for the last 2 years. We don't really have desirable assets that we want to trade. So it needs to come from the pipeline. It needs to come from picks. Okay, cool. Now you have to ask yourself, are those 2 things enough to get a deal done that upgrades our top 6? Again, we're looking for a player with heart and with size. Does a pick and a prospect get you a player with heart and size? I don't know. And that's kind of the conundrum that we're in. Unless you, of course, want to part with a player that you don't want to part with, which I don't think that's the answer, especially if we're 2 points out of a wildcard spot with games to go. So it's a tough position to be in. But to answer your question once and for all, if you're 2 points out and you got that many games left, go for it. 100% go for it. Don't bring up kids unless they are destroying it, because that could throw off the chemistry of the team as well. So go for it, man. I would say go for it. Go find a guy, plug him in, and hope for the best. That's my thought. All right, boys and girls. So we talked about potentially the answer being maybe already here, and to this bottom 6 issue and this bottom 6 lack of scoring. Maybe the answer's already here. Maybe we find it from within. If that's the case, we'd like to hear from you at this point. What does your lineup look like? I gave you mine, right? I'll recap it real quick. Finney, Larkin, DeBrincat, Casper, Danielson, Raymond, Berggren, Kopp, Kane, Rasmussen, Comfer, Appleton. That is your 12 forward group. What's yours? We want to know what it is. Drop it down in the comments. Hit us up, message us, whatever you got to do. We want to see what your lineup is based off of the players and personnel that we have today to see if we can figure out a combination that unlocks our top 6. Our bottom 6. We like to hear from you. So that's ours. That's mine. Zach's, I think we know what Zach's was. It was basically swapping Finney and Raymond to get that all-gas second line of Casper, Danielson, and Finney, which I think would be very exciting to watch. Zach, is that right?
Yeah, because you even look at, like I said, last season, the top line was DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond. I think that's probably one of the better lines that we see in the NHL today. I don't want to have maybe a little hesitation when I say maybe a top 10 line in the NHL.
I'd give it a top 10
line.
I'd give it a top 10.
They obviously can score. Look at last night. They did a phenomenal job, right? And so, I think with the way that the league is going, very high speed, high octane, powerhouse, goal scoring teams. You look at the Montreal Canadiens, you look at the Anaheim Ducks. Both those teams are doing really good with just the young players that they have on their team. Not them trading John Gibson and still being a really good team. Not a big deal to them. So that's credit to them for taking advantage of moving on from a player and then gaining assets from it. But nonetheless, I think it's time where the Detroit Red Wings start including the players that are under 30, giving them more of a role, more responsibility, put them in the top 6. I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Even if you do it for a game, you don't have to do it moving forward, but just to get a look at what it could be. And it gives those types of players, those young players, the exposure that they need to continuously bring success to the Detroit Red Wings and within their NHL careers. And that's how you're going to find out if these players are meant to be top 6 players. Like, I don't know how many times we've seen people say Nate Danielson won't be a top 6 forward in the NHL. We won't know until we put him there.
100%, dude. Absolutely.
So I'm with you there. Yeah, that would be my only change, would be that second line. You keep the top line the same, and then
you're swapping Raymond and Finney. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I only moved Raymond because I really think he could be a difference maker on a second line.
Yeah.
And I think he could really drive a line. I truly believe that based off his level of play and the way he's leveling up year in, year out for this team. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we could take what we have and make it work in all the best ways and create some good lineups all the way up and down the lineup. And at this point, I just want to hear from the folks, man. I want to hear from the people. What do you guys think? What does your line look like? But give us a little bit of why behind it. You know, you heard the why behind Zach's second line. You heard the why behind why I did what I did. Let's hear the why behind yours. And most importantly, let's see it broken down. We're really excited to see that and share it because we got to see something here. I mean, we're struggling bottom 6-wise. We got to get going if we're going to be the team we want this team to be. That's kind of the final thought. That's the wrap up. Zach, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but if you don't, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Thanks for hanging with us, y'all. We're back in action. Let's go Red Wings. Let's get it.
Those are my final thoughts, not yours. Carlo and Zach are out. We love you. Goodbye, everyone.